Let's start. Last week I didn't make much progress on SeaStor side, aside from fixing random failures in make check and testing. Regarding to the analyzed BlueStar PR tremé, I think it would be helpful if you can amend the commit message with the strategy and what the change you made instead of a single title. That would be helpful for the reviewers.
Sure. I will add something.
Yes,
some comments.
Some items. Yes, some items. And that's it. Tremé.
I have sent out the release version test result. So it seems in heavy workload and Crimson OSD have a better performance. But when the workload is only one job number is equal to 1. When the block size is a little bigger, Crimson OSD is worse than classic Ceph OSD. So when I built the release version, I found that the SeaStor used the default allocator for debug version and used SeaStor allocator for the release version. And when it used SeaStor allocator, it can't allocate the pages page number 81, 92. So it will give an error for the in this function. I will paste here. So when the SeaStor build the release version, it will use his allocator. In this allocator, for some BlueStar, they will call this allocate large and trim function to allocate the pages, and this if branch will meet. So the nr hyphen pages equal to and so it will return a non-pointer for here. So couldn't allocate the pages for the BlueStar. It some called the bit. I think it called the bitmap for BlueFS, something like that. So I just make it use the default allocator to build the release.
Is it a fixed number?
I'm not sure. I didn't debug on it. I just find this branch the condition meet. For the when the aliens when the BlueStar allocate some. Let me check.
If it is a fixed, maybe we can just increase that number.
I will check it if it fixed or it allocate calculate from something. I will check it.
Okay.
Let me see.
Regarding to the performance regression, degradation of when the block size is greater than like 4K, I think that behavior is expected and should be addressed by Retech change of into buffer factory.
Yeah, that might be a problem, but for writes, if I recall correctly.
Pardon, which Retech check?
Input buffer factory. SeaStor, when you use the Posix stack of SeaStor to read data from network, like the content of file of Rados object during write operation, then you do that a bit inefficiently. It's because SeaStor always use 8 kilobyte chunk to interact with kernel, to fetch the data from kernel buffers into user space buffers. And then it does another copy just for the buffer linearization. It's not so efficient. We need we need to decide whether we are going to focus on user space drivers. If so,
bypass the kernel,
yeah,
then we avoid one
we have
copy.
exactly. We have two possibilities: DPDK user space drivers, which are absolutely free of that issue, or we can push for the input buffer factory. The code is actually ready. It will be rather political pressure in the SeaStor community to get this feature merged.
So you mean we
Yes,
have to use DPDK stack, or we can still can use the Posix stack?
I mean that we can use two stacks, Posix and native.
So if we use Posix, we also can avoid the copy.
Yes, but to do that, we would need to change SeaStor.
Oh, we need to change the SeaStor.
Yes.
But currently, the classic Ceph OSD and our Crimson OSD also both use the Posix stack, and they both have the.
No. Classic is using Messenger. No. Classic OSD is absolutely free of this efficient socket reading. Messenger uses completely async messenger of classical OSD uses completely different strategy to interact with kernel when it comes to the data reading. It's free of the issue. So it's at the moment it's not apple to apple comparison.
But currently, async messenger use the Posix stack, right?
No.
It's not SeaStor Posix. It's not SeaStor Posix stack.
Exactly.
It's just named
It use the kernel. It use the kernel TCP/IP stack, and they have the copy. They need a copy.
Yep, the BSD socket API. Yep, correct.
Yeah, so it is apple to apple. Crimson OSD need a copy. Ceph OSD need a copy.
No. Crimson requires more copying and more syscalls per operation. In classical,
because the size of each core try to read from the kernel like 4K each time, but in case of classical OSD, it does not enforce such kind of. It doesn't have such kind of a limitation. Actually, I think Yixin has a change to do this in an adaptive way, but it turns out that the performance improvement is not. Sometimes the performance improvement is not visible, so that change was put down by me. But I think input buffer factory is a more efficient way and more generic way to improve the
for SeaStar, only if the block size over 4K, it only can read 4K one time, right?
Each time
only 4K. But the Ceph OSD doesn't have this limitation.
Yes.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the performance is not good for Crimson OSD when the block size is over 4K, maybe over 1 megabytes.
Oh yeah, even for 32 kilobytes, even 32K can kill the performance of Crimson. We are terrible for bigger chunks.
Oh, I see. So who is working on it? Yixin will fix it.
It's an import buffer factory. I think it's Retech proposal, right?
Actually, there are two waiting PRs. One is for our Ceph/SeaStor repo, which brings the interface extension. Another one is for Crimson to let it use the new API. So at the moment, the code is in place. Of course, we will need to rebase it to freshest SeaStor. Likely, we'll need to during the SeaStor summit, I've talked with Avi on the input buffer factory concept. He's fine to reiterate. We can start even now. Still, the best approach is to decide on our side what's the priority among drivers. Do we want to use DPDK or Posix Stack will be our first choice when it comes to drivers. If Posix Stack is first choice, we need to fix the performance very soon. Much sooner than in case.
I think we've decided to go with Posix Stack for now. By the way, I saw a response by one of ScyllaDB guys regarding a native stack, and he specifically said, yes, there are problems there. We are not sure. We are not testing it, and we are just making sure that it more or less works. But there are problems there, and there are bugs. If you're going to use it, you better debug it. Someone else asked that question in the discussion group.
I see. On the other hand, Yingxin made the testing, the performance comparison between native and Posix. It turns out that the IPC factor for native is significantly higher. It's not just 10% or something like that. It's much higher, around 40 or maybe more. So it still might be worth the burden. Need to decide.
Maybe the major block to upstream the buffer factory is to apply it to native stack, right? According to Avi.
Yes.
To generalize it to.
Yeah. So Avi still wants to have the native stack inside. If nobody uses it, I would guess it should be stripped from SeaStor.
Okay, so I will take a vacation next 2 weeks for the Christmas holiday. Maybe skip the weekly meeting for next 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you, Chunmei. Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you.
Retech.
I just returned from my PTO yesterday. Not much for Crimson, just maybe one thing from the previous week. It is the fix for generator that allows for integration with SeaStor with. Another news is on SeaStor side. All patches are merged. Yesterday I sent a PR to let CEF pick them up. We are already using updated SeaStor. Right now I'm working on 2 bugs related to core, related to the radios that came from tautology, but I will be able to switch back to the exclusive lock of RBD soon. I plan to work specifically on the notify class of the OSD / watch.cc. That's me.
Ronan.
Hi. Nothing much. I did nothing much regarding Crimson week, but I plan to do more this week. First thing, I saw Sam comment on my PR. I will handle those. If anybody else would like to go over this PR, I appreciate that. and maybe get it to merge this week, hopefully. Other than that, two more issues. One, what is this? I had a discussion with a teammate regarding he has some ideas regarding our store objects, our object classes. What is the status of object classes in Kernel now? Radek, you handled that, isn't it?
Yep, the support is good enough to handle RBD. Some parts of the object class API are stopped, but the general machinery is there. So if another set of classes needs to be ported, it may be just they might just implement some. We will need to implement some parts of the object class API that is missed.
Okay, good. I'll pass this over. Maybe I will be able to help with that. And other than that, sorry?
What is this teammate trying to do with object classes?
It's an idea. I prefer not to discuss it here.
Okay.
If okay. Okay, I can send you an email later. Okay, and another issue, well, other than that, Sam, if there are things I can do to help with specific code in the prototype of the SeaStor, I'd love to. And that's... Did you say something, Sam?
Sorry, I was asking if I'm up.
Now you are.
Well, anyway, not a lot to talk about. I tried to respond to you guys' comments on the document. There isn't any code yet to help with. I got sidetracked working on balanced reads in the last week, but I hope to get into that more in the next couple of weeks. I am off the next 2 weeks, so I won't be at this meeting next 2 Tuesdays, but I'll be back up after that. That's it for me.
So should we cancel those two next meetings?
I mean, that seems like a rational approach. I'm not sure how many of the rest of you guys will be around.
I will be around for like 1 more week. But
I'm ambivalent. I mean, if people want to meet, certainly they can.
The next Wednesday in Poland is actually a holiday, Christmas.
Yes. I would suggest we cancel the next two.
okay. And
Okay, that's it for me.
Thank you. I think we have already have his report. And Yingxing?
Last week I'm trying to understand enough background knowledge and try to review SeaStor design. And I think I will put more comments into that document. And an interesting finding is that F2FS has 2 separate levels, the sections and the zones for GC to support like stream stream interface SSD and the set associative FTLs. So I'm trying to understand if it is necessary also for us. So the background is the section in F2FS is the erase unit, and there's another level called zone is also useful for GC. So yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah, those name collisions were why I tried to use stream. I was trying to avoid hitting any of the other terms that have been used, but I don't really care, except that I don't want to use zone. But other than that, doesn't matter to me. Okay, so we had two opinions actually. One was not stream, and the other one was stream. Quick show of hands. Who is okay with stream?
I'm okay. I prefer stream.
Okay, we have one preference for stream. How many votes for segment?
I vote for segment. It's better than the stream.
Anyone else?
It's a bit of, isn't it overloaded a bit? It means so many things.
Honestly, Ronan, these are all overloaded at this stage. As long as it's any word other than zone, I'm okay with it. I just don't want zone. I don't want sector either, because that's a geometry thing for a hard disk.
Well, stream suggests to me that it's contiguous. So,
as it happens, they will generally be. That's what makes them streams. That's the intuition I was going for. But honestly, segment feels contiguous too. So, nah.
No, I don't think so. Again,
segment.
It helps with visualization to call it streams.
Yeah, I would opt for stream, I think.
Okay, we got 2 votes for stream. Anyone want to argue really, really hard against it?
Because the reason I don't want like stream is that it only matters when we write to a stream like the IO stream in C++. When we want to read from it, we need to materialize it using like .str to grab like a snapshot of it. But it actually doesn't apply to in our case. In our case, we can just random access into a stream where whenever the right pointer is after
that's all true, but I've worked in systems that refer to a thing like that as a stream also. Honestly, all of these words have probably been used for everything at least once. I kind of lean towards segment. I think segment's a little better, but I don't feel that strongly. Does anyone else want to take a swing? Crap, we're 2-2. Does anyone want to break the tie?
I think both are okay.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mm-hmm. We just pick one.
All right, I'm going to go with segment since I already changed the word. I'd have to find and replace it back. And it's not totally dissimilar from the way several log structured file systems have used it, so I think that's not a bad intuition.
I can live with that.
Aside from the stream versus segment, could you take some time to help us understand the footer and the garbage collection of
yeah, so
/segments?
I want to be super clear. There are 2 structures associated with each stream. One of them gets written to disk right at the end of the stream. That's the footer. You'll notice the things in that field don't change. They're just details about what's in there, right?
Like a summary of the stream, right?
It's the last journal epoch in the segment. It's the number of journal bytes and the offset of the last journal in that stream. So the reason for those fields is that tells us, 1, when can we garbage collect the journal entries in it, the deltas, and 2, how much do we get back when we do it, right?
Like a hint for the algorithm choosing victim.
Yeah, precisely. It's an input to the algorithm we use to choose which stream to garbage collect. Because some streams we probably want to wait as long as we can before garbage collecting, right? But if a stream is almost exclusively journal entries, and we know that they're obsolete, great. That's a great one to collect because it's almost empty, right? We have to do almost no work. By contrast, the other one is the journal allocation, whatever I called it. It's just as we deallocate or as we move blocks out of that segment, or more accurately, as we rewrite blocks that used to be in that segment, we will decrement that counter of how much block space is left in there. And that's the other input to the algorithm. It tells us how much live block space is left, which is to say how much work we're going to have to do to garbage collect the segment. Because for every live block, we have to copy it, right? So that's a very small amount of data because there aren't very many segments. So we just keep that in memory. And every delta that gets written to the allocation table implicitly updates that state. Because every time we move a block, it shows up as a change to the allocation table, right? There is a lot more detail that needs to go into that. Or rather, implementing it will turn up trickiness that I didn't think of, but that's the gist of my plan. My plan is that structure should be trivial to keep in memory, and we ought to be able to keep it updated with deltas we're already writing down.
I have a question, Sam.
Uh-huh.
I have a misunderstanding probably regarding the block cache. And in the segment, in the first paragraph in the block cache segment, you state that every block is in one of two states. And I'm not sure I understand the dirty status. If a block is dirty, shouldn't it be combined with all current deltas in the cache?
Combined with what?
What I'm trying to say, if you have a dirty block in the, like you said, must be fully present in the cache, okay?
Yep.
So if you have a dirty block in the cache, isn't it up to date with all relevant deltas already applied to it?
It is, yes. That block is up to date, but it is dirty
Okay.
because it does not match the contents of the disk.
Okay, because I didn't understand the comment along possibly with the current set of deltas. There shouldn't be any current set of deltas already applied.
Ronan, if you'll notice right below that, there are 3 strategies laid out for how we might do journal checkpoints. That applies to strategy 2. So we're not going to do that one, at least not in the first version.
Okay.
You only need to keep the deltas in memory if you plan on rewriting them out instead of rewriting out the dirty block. Which is an option, but it's not one we're going to do, at least at first.
Okay, now it makes sense. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I'm good.
I have another question regarding to train-based test. So the buffer factory, it doesn't explain the slow performance for FIO read on the one job, right?
Yeah, input buffer factory charges, it's mostly about writes, not reads. If the issue is about, if the performance degradation is for reading bigger chunks, then likely we have something another.
Maybe it's because we doing read in asynchronous tasks, so maybe there are latencies between async tasks, so that causes the IOPS very low. Is that an explanation?
Don't know.
Okay.
So we will have the next meeting in the next week. How many of us will be around in the next week? I think the man the Retech one won't be around. How about you, Chunmi and Hunan and Yingxing?
I will be around.
I could be. I can be.
Okay. I'll be around also.
To,
So we will.
next week, right?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think most of us won't be around in the week after next week. That's for sure. Okay. So we'll have a meeting next week. So any other questions?
Maybe not a question,
Sorry,
maybe
Retech.
just quick note about Avnum's work. Last week he made the cycles per op in CBT in CBT's Rados bench operational. Now,
Okay.
now we are designing the way how to extend sub-performed metrics, also in more benchmarks, especially RBD.
And instead, you have a planned meeting with him today?
We had yesterday. The next meeting is on Thursday.
Ah, okay.
Avnum is working at the moment on a document enlisting possible options, possible approaches to tackle the generalization of metrics in CBT.
Okay. Thanks, Retech. Any other comments?
Thanks to Avnum.
Yes. Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you guys. See most of you in the next week. And
See you.
enjoy your vacations. See you.
Thanks. See you. Bye.
Bye bye.